now bring up the screen. So hopefully you should be able to see me now on YouTube. And I can see that the YouTube Live tab. So if I go to YouTube Live and Shorts, it should bring up the legacy. Does that come up there?
1 second. So it shows legacy planning. Should I just click on it then? It says legacy planning 10 September.
It should say live in the box.
It just says skip an ad. Let me just see.
You may have clicked a different video. If you go back to the home page and then go to that home page, that should take you there.
So in the home, can I just share my screen? Sorry, I might be really kind of...
Unfortunately not, because I'm going to be going live. So if you can work that out, that'd be really good. Check your emails though, because I have circled it.
No, yeah. Okay, great, perfect. Okay, thank you. Speak later.
Right. Bye. For everyone else that's attending, unfortunately, it looks like Acuity has sent everyone to the actual live Zoom link, which is good to be used for the host, which is myself and Louise. So if I can just send this to this link to everyone, just click on that, and then if you can remove yourself from the sessions, that'd be really good, just so we don't have any issues going forwards. So I've got a couple more people coming in as well. So we'll do that live. Let me just see. Lou, is my slide still showing on your side?
Yes, they are.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it.
That's why we need to stop this. Okay, so let me just go into that. Just going to mute everyone else.
Okay. I'll continue to message people so they know.
Yeah, that'd be great help. Thank you. I'm just going to go to my channel now and see. Okay, yeah, so I'm live. Okay, perfect. All right. So let's make a start then. So we're not going to get too sidetracked from what's going wrong with Zoom at the minute. Let me just try and do that. If there anyone comes after the next couple of minutes, I think we're probably to just remove them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, if you can see in the chat box, there should be a new link for you to use, which is the YouTube Live. It'd be really good for you to use that because it's something that I can see on my chat box. So that would be fantastic. So I can see all the chats going on there where I wouldn't be able to see so easy on Zoom. So if you can click on that link and then remove yourself, anyone that's still in the Zoom meeting will be removed in the next 5 minutes or so by Louise. So thank you so much for supporting me there, Louise. Whilst this is doing that page, I can see myself. Right. What I'm going to do is make a stop because there's so much to get through and I really want to do this so you get as much content out of this as possible. So my name is Simon Misiewicz from Optimise Accountants, and I am a qualified accountant. I'm also a qualified tax advisor and a will writer as well. So I've got quite a few credentials against my name now, so hopefully give you a good show for this evening. The next part of it is 20 years of working. I've been doing this for quite some period of time and hopefully giving people good value during that period of time as well. And finally, passion. I'm here to really help you reduce tax, but maximize your wealth. Maximize your wealth, not just for yourself, but also for family as well. So that's what I'm all about. So let's think about the agenda for this evening. First of all, I want to talk about a will and why that is important. And I'm going to give you some horror shows purposely to shake you up a little bit. This isn't a kind of webinar where you just drift off. Hopefully it's going to be lasting impact on what you do going forwards after tonight. I don't want you to have sleepless nights, but equally, I do want you to be spooked by some of the things I'm going to share with you. So Lou, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but I've got 4 more people coming into the meeting room. So if you can have a look at those guys and just attach that link again.
Absolutely. Just working through everybody. If you can see the link in the chat, then we are slowly removing you.
I want to talk about who will and why that is important. I'm going to give you some horror shows. There's someone on the microphone, so I can now hear. I might have just to remove everyone so I don't get this echo. So it's a Zoom user. Okay, so if you guys can move yourself, that'd be fantastic. Go to that new link and then we'll exit you in the next 2 minutes. Okay. So just moving on from that, succession planning, avoid disputes, really important. And safeguarding assets, deployment after death, also very, very important in terms of how we make sure that people, loved ones, get what you intended. Again, there's some horror stories around that. Inheritance tax, more horror stories. I should have called this a horror show more than the webinar show. But I want to share some ideas of how you can mitigate your IHT legally. So dying intestate without a will. What is that? Now, before we kind of go on for that, I want to just share with you about the having a will and those that don't. And as it says there, there's a few pages I had a look about who doesn't have a will. HMRC, 43% of people don't reported have a will. The ONS, Office of National Statistics, said 54%. Co-op, I guess it's their customer base, but still 72%. Unbiased, 56%. There's a lot of people that don't have a will in place. And that's a big, big number, no matter which way you look at that. So I'm just going to go through now and talk about this, which should be appearing on your screen. Get a will done. If you use that QR code, the links will also be in the description box as well below. But for those action takers, those that want to actually do something with the content, I want to test that theory in as much as I'm going to give you a bunch of offers throughout this evening on different things that I think you should do anyway. But I'm going to discount it to give you that extra incentive. But you'll notice that the QR code has, if you use that code webinar, you can get a will done for about £90. That's really cheap, if I'm honest. And it's an online platform for you to get your own will. Now I'm going to leave that QR code on the screen so you can always use your phone to get that or use the links in the description box below. Okay, so what happens if you don't have a will and you're not married? Well, assets are shared between all children. Point 2, if no children, it goes to the parents. And if not children or parents, it goes to siblings. So if it doesn't go to children, if it doesn't go to parents, it then goes to siblings, but it goes in that order. So if you pass away, you're not married, it goes children first, then your parents, then your brothers and sisters. It's kind of a bit of a cross going on there. Where's the missing link? The missing link is where you don't, you have a partner. So if you have a partner, you're not married, there is every possibility that you die and they get nothing at all. And that may not have been in your intention at all. You may not have said, I want to give you everything, but you might said, well, actually, you could stay in this house whilst you continue to live beyond my days. So that's a bit of a shock. It also suggests that it's shared equally between all children if you don't have a will. That may also not be your intention. And what if you've got children in another relationship? That too can cause you big, big problems. What happens if you die with a will, without a will, sorry, but you're married? So again, married without a will, what happens there? Well, first of all, £322,000 goes to the wife or husband, the remaining spouse, I should say. 50% of the remaining assets also goes to them. And any chattels, any loose belongings, artifacts, that kind of thing. But what about the rest of it? If you've got more than 322,000, well, children get the other 50% of the remaining assets. So you've got 1 million. The first 322,000 goes to your wife. They get 50% of the remainder, and then that part that's left goes then to the children. And that's a real bad issue, because from an inheritance tax perspective, that could be a disastrous mistake, because then you start to have this huge amount of inheritance tax. So that's not great, to say the least. I'm just going to let everyone else in, Lucy, so you can hopefully just guide them back to the right platform. Okay, and then how else happens? Lost legacies, overpayment of IHT. So there is a massive issue in regards to people that go into a situation where they don't use a will, they don't tell people what they've got, and the loved ones are left scattering to say, well, what bank accounts did they have? What pensions did they have? What properties did they have? They never told me anything. And that can really happen not just on a planned death. I'm not sure if there is such a thing as a planned death, but if you in a situation whereby you are out and you have a heart attack and it's completely unexpected, no illness, nothing, and you've not told your kids, your wife or husband anything, then they could be left really in the dark. And that's why some of the assets are unclaimed. And I'm going to go through to that actually. This number really freaks me out actually, because this is something that I saw on when I was doing my research for a client, but also in terms of what legacy really meant to me, and understanding how the royal family gets such benefits from us as a nation. But here's the issue. So you've got lost pensions. I'm not sure how you lose it, but again, if you have died and you do not tell anyone about that pension account, that could be an unclaimed asset. As such, as it says here, there are 3.3 million pots that are unclaimed, totaling 31 billion. Now we're talking about there's a black hole in the economy. I think 31 billion could easily kind of recover that, but no, it goes to the crown. So if you are in a position whereby you think, well, actually, I love the royals and all the hangers-ons, well, don't make a will, because you're going to give your assets to them. Child trust funds. There are 671,000 young people that don't have a trust fund. So that's been claimed. So it's been unclaimed. So as you can see there, children's trust funds, 1.7 billion is going to be a bit of a shock to anyone for that matter. Let's go on. Bank savings accounts, so banks and saving accounts, another 1.35 billion pounds unclaimed because people didn't write enough details about those accounts when they died. No one knew about them, so it's being left unclaimed. All of this will go to the ground. Unclaimed estates, property we're talking about here, 5,900 estates unclaimed. So when you see empty property sometimes on the streets, and you think, well, is that because of probate, or is that because it's an argument, or is that because of drugs or whatever? Actually, it could be an unclaimed estate. 1.67 billion pounds worth of unclaimed estates, 5,900 of them, which is a huge amount to say the least. So I just wanted to talk about some high profile people that I think you should be aware of. Jill Dando, BBC presenter, was murdered in 1999 without a will. Her 1.18 million estate passed to her elderly father triggering a £250,000 IHT bill. Now, if she was married at that time, it could have been passed on to her spouse and there would not have been an IHT bill. She left her fiancé, Alan, with nothing because it wasn't written into her will. So imagine how that went down to say, well, you've got to leave the house because it's no longer yours. That would have been scary to have that kind of conversation. The law offered no recognition of their engagement. They was engaged to be married, didn't quite get there, and then asked to, well, been told that you don't have anything at all, no assets. Amy Winehouse died really sadly at 27 without a valid will. Probate valued her estate at 4.26 million gross. Roughly 2.94 million after debts was paid and tax. But it went to her elderly parents. In terms of she didn't have a will, so it went to her elderly parents. Despite the strange personal ties, speculation that she wanted other people to benefit, but they didn't because she didn't have a valid will. So another story for you. A great comedian who I loved as in the 1980s, Rick Mail. Another one. It's a real sad story here. Best known for his Young Ones. Can you remember that? And Bottom, even equally impressive and funny. Died unexpectedly in 2014 without a will. And by the way, if you all think we're all immortal, we all think that, don't we? And then the inevitable happens, but we just don't know when. So really, we can plan, but we choose not to. And like all of these people that you're seeing here, his estate was valued around about 1.2 million. Assets were divided between his widow and children. This arrangement, and remember, 322,000 nowadays is passed to the wife. They get the remaining, what's left, 50% as well. And then the rest of the 50%, sorry, goes to the children, which in this case triggered the inheritance tax bill, which was needless. If it was sent and planned correctly, none of this would have happened. And there's countless other people that I have reviewed, and it's in my ebook, which I've written, which again should be in the description box below this video. So again, just to reiterate, you can do an online will in 30 minutes. I test this, I know it myself. We've created a system. You can use it straight away. Use the QR code, use the link in the description box, get 30%. There is no excuses, just get your will done. It's going to help you to understand a lot of things going on here. You get online portal, there's no solicitors required. You can do everything yourself. Simple step-by-step instructions of how to create the will. Download and save for $129.95, but if you use that webinar code, again, it does expire on, I think, Friday. You get it for less than £100. You can get a review, but that's extra fees, so just use the will, get it done. Revise will as required. So if you want to revise it, you can go back to the system and revise it accordingly. Now, the thing about this is, what does a will do? It helps you to identify your loved ones, the assets that they will get, and hopefully you should then start to document everything you have, all your savings accounts, all your pensions, all of your properties, all your shares, all your businesses need to be listed and provided to someone so that they know what is in your estate. Because otherwise the Crown will get it. So do a will and it will ask you to do that very thing, to list all these assets. So here we are. So I want to give you an idea of, again, there's that QR code. Use that, please, please, please get a will done. It's the most basic thing. 60%, most of you probably won't have one. I'm telling you that now. And that's real sad. I'm not doing this for any other reason that, unless, apart from I actually care and I want you to get your finances in order. A lot of my friends, a lot of my staff don't even have one, and it's crazy. So please, please do get one. If you want to, I'm just looking at the chat box now to see if you've got any questions. So if you do have any questions, you'll see me looking at my iPad. That's because that's where my questions are. So a question to you guys is this. Do you have a will that's been updated since 2024? Just in the chat box, just so I know you're actually with me, you're fully engaged with me tonight. If you can just type in yes or no, that would be a good thing. So please, please, please do that. Simon Collins said, hi, folks. Hi, Simon. It's been a long time since last spoke to you. Simone, we can hear you now. Perfect. And Ben from the UK said the same thing. Will this be recorded? Asked Raj. Yes, it will be. And it will be on the YouTube main channel. So you can always watch this back. So you can have a look at that. How much to review the will with your support? I mean, to be honest, as long as you start the will process, then you can always come back. If you want a full review, send me an email once it's done, and we'll do it for about 100, 150 pounds or something like that. Not much at all. But most people feel comfortable doing it themselves. You know, if you want a review, it's sensible. We can do that for you. Most people are saying no to having a will, which is crazy, guys. If you pass away tomorrow, and it can happen, look at how many young celebrities have passed away. Your wife, your husband, your partner, your kids may not know all the things you've got going on right now. It is so important to tell someone that you've got all these assets, and that is really going to be a key thing. Part of the will process as well is to get an executor, which is so important to do. Okay, so that's really interesting. Please, 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 if you find this useful, I will keep asking you to do this, is please subscribe, please press that like button. It does help the algorithm. It will push this out. And I think this is such important information I'm sharing with you today, not just to boost my rankings, but because if 60 people don't even have a will, hey, let's get this out there. Let's get people to know what's going on so that they can get ahead of the game. So who does this affect? It affects you. It affects your children. And now I want you to think about, well, what about your parents? Do your parents have a will? Right? I'm not asking you to say yes or no in the chat box, but that is the major issue, right? Bada is asked, I clicked the link and there is a list where it might not be suitable for you. Okay, there's a list where this might not be suitable for you. Okay, I'm not quite sure what that is. So I'll come back to you better on that. Moy said, hi Simon, do you need to create a will for both husband and wife? You can do something called a mirror will. So a mirror will is reflecting the same information for both of you. Gillian said, I have a will but haven't updated it during the last year. Okay, I mean, maybe worth having a look at your will and say, is this still valid? Don't create a new one, but maybe now is a good time to review what you got. Where is an online will kept? Well, it's kept on our Archon system, actually. So if you have that, you can download it. It is yours. You can use it. But if you want to go back to the system, you will be able to get that as well. All the way through, if you want to check, ask questions, feel free to put those questions in the chat box below. That would be fantastic. And I will be testing these questions out and hopefully providing you with some answers. Victoria said, when I tried will generators once, I got a limited company bit. They referred me to a bespoke service that cost me much more. We won't do that, Victoria, trust me. Whatever system we've got going on here, I've done it myself. I've got some friends to do it. I've got some staff members. We know it worked brilliantly, to be honest. So yeah, so you won't get thrown into this kind of thing. Lasting power of attorney. There's a form. There's a QR code. This is absolutely, by the way, I think there's an £85 charge or something like that. It's not us, it's the government website for this. But lasting power of attorney, what is one of these? So let's have a look. A power of attorney in the UK is a legal document that lets you appoint one or more trusted people, attorneys. Doesn't have to be, attorneys is a strange word, but trusted people, let's go with that, to make decisions on your behalf. It can cover your property, your finances, your health and care, ensuring someone you choose can act if you lose capacity. COVID was a great example of that, of people going into hospital and being incapacitated for a long, long time. And that is the problem, is that if that happens to you, then you can't make legal decisions. You can't make finance decisions. So if you're a business person, your business is on hold. That's point one. If you've got property and a tenant asks you questions or you've got a legal dispute going on, nothing happens. They can stay in your property until you come out, unless you have a lasting power of attorney in place. There's that QR code to get an LPA, so feel free to do that. I think the link is also in the description box. So when this video ends, it will still be there for you, by the way. So feel free, get it done. We don't get any money for this. It's just that I think it's so vitally important. So this is useful during life. A will is on death. So it tells your executor where you want all your assets to go. But this is during your lifetime. So it covers health, welfare, LPA, and property and financial affairs, LPA. So there are two, but use that QR code and you will get all the guidance from the government website. And by the way, the government website in this case is very, very good. So I've done my own research. I've gone through it myself, quite happy with that process to enable you to just go ahead and do that. So problems without one. Cannot make decisions if you're incapacitated, as mentioned already. So if you're in hospital and you're in a coma, for instance, or you had COVID and you're locked down properly, you can't make any decisions. Finances, legal, nothing. Your bank accounts could be frozen. And if you are the breadwinner and you're the only bank account, if someone takes money out without your consent, that could be fraud. So there's issues with that. Assets could be frozen and legal issues, as I mentioned. So again, during your lifetime, if you're incapacitated, it could actually be worse than death, because if you have a will, at least you're telling everyone where you want assets to go and who's to take over your business. If you kind of get incapacitated, not so easy. So get an LPA, even if it's your spouse. Now, the problem is about this is if it's your spouse and not someone else, what happens if you're both incapacitated? All right? It's a bit of a horrible story, but as my wife will testify, I do come up with some morbid stories to really kind of test what we do. But do have a think about that, because I think that's going to be a major thing. So here's back to you guys. Do you think a will or an LPA could be useful for you and your family? One or both, right? Is a will or an LPA or both useful for your family? If you could type in yes or no, yes or no, do you think it's useful? Yes or no, that'd be really good. And again, if you've not hit the like button and subscribe, by the way, I've got 15 likes and there are 78 of you. So come on, guys. Surely this content is pretty decent. So let's go to your questions then. So let's just go. Oh, yeah. So who does this affect? I'm going to repeat this. If you don't have an LPA, you're incapacitated. Who does it affect? You. It affects your children and potentially your parents as well, if you're meant to be looking after them. And indeed, if your parents are kind of financing you and they're incapacitated, they can affect you as well. So it's a two-way thing for your parents. So chat box with any questions. I'm going to have a look at the questions that are coming in. Sorry for a basic question. There is no need to apologize for basic questions, honestly. So please ask away any basic questions that you may have. Could you please tell the relation in between setting up a trust and a will? Yeah, so a will is where you want your assets to go. Now, a trust is whereby you say, well, I don't want my home or an asset to go direct to my children. What I want instead, I will set up a trust in order for a trustee, so again, an adult, a intellectual, responsible adult. I mean, let's be fair about it. That's sometimes hard to get by, isn't it? To find a responsible and intellectual and someone who cares for your needs. So that they become a trustee and they're the guardians of that asset. So your children then can't do what they want with that asset. So if you've got a home and it's in trust, the children just couldn't sell it and buy drugs, right? That's probably the worst case, isn't it? So they couldn't do that. So a trust really works for that. Have 5 properties. So let's just go through. Yeah, Raj has asked a question. Have 5 properties, both high rate taxpayers, married. Can I reduce my IHT? Yes, of course. And there are some examples I'll share with you later on. Dave said, LPA is easy to do, but for me, who to choose as an attorney? Great question, Dave. And the one thing I would say about that, it doesn't necessarily need to be. Oh, Louise, did you want to come in?
No, but I just wanted to confirm that we are hopefully have successfully moved anybody who was coming into the Zoom session onto YouTube Live. So I am here if somebody has a question for me as well. So that's fine. Perfect.
Thank you, Lou. And do jump in, Lou, if you have anything on there you want to come and test out. So question again from Melanie is POA, power of attorney, useful for disabled child if they receive funds from a will but won't necessarily be able to. Yes, and there is something called a vulnerable child's trust as well. So do look at that. That's not the same as that QR code. So look at a vulnerable person's trust. Lou, have you got any experience on that?
There are a couple of really advantageous trusts that you can set up for individuals, whether they be children or adults that will need ongoing support for one of multiple reasons. And those trusts are probably they're a really great solution if you're looking to plan for the very long term. LPAs are still appropriate. They will help guide perhaps on certain issues, who will deal with those issues when they arise. A trust is more a physical, responsible thing for managing assets that are there to support the individual. So those two things work specifically to protect and help that individual. They work slightly differently.
Yeah, thank you for that. We have someone else saying about, I'm not sure, Melina, finished off your question actually. But I'll read it out again because I think this is a good question. I read part of it. Is a PU, so power of attorney, useful for a disabled child if they receive funds from a will, which we just mentioned, but they're able to control these funds? I just want to echo back actually that the fact that the trust is there for all people. So it could be designed for a child that you think, okay, they may not be mature, like a male. I didn't mature until I was 28. Louise probably thinks I've not matured even now. But I would say that I didn't mature until 28. I made some financial disastrous mistakes. So realistically, you want to be careful of that. Girls may not be so bad, but then you don't know about their spouse. Again, trust is a great vehicle. If you're not sure about their spouse or their partner, then putting your assets into a trust is very good. There was lots of questions about trust, but I'm not going to go into trust for tonight. That's quite a detailed level of conversation. But if you're curious about trust, then please do speak to a family lawyer. That's probably your best place, in all honesty. Gillian said, hi, Louise, and then wave hands. AJ said, are there any tax consequences for using a trust? No. Yes is the answer to that. There are tax consequences of using trust, and again, quite detailed. I'm not going to be able to talk about that today. Moy, do spouses need a will and LTA each? I would say that a will and a mirror will, although it kind of is the same if you think about the reflection, then you should have one of those each anyway. And an LTA, yeah, I think so. I think it's always beneficial to have a lasting power of attorney. How can we gift shares of a limited company without triggering CGT and IHT? That's quite specific to have.
Great question, though.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that's more of a specific question. And you're a client, Dilip, so please do reach out to your account manager Toot Suite tomorrow morning. All right, succession planning. By the way, if you're wondering what that box is always on the right-hand side, it's because that's where my space will go in the recording. So that's what that space is for. All right, so let's talk about succession planning. What is succession planning? So it is the process of preparing how your assets, business interests, responsibilities will be managed or passed on your death, or if you lose capacity. It ensures a smooth transition, minimizing tax, and reduces the risk of disputes among heirs or business partners. It's such a big thing. And unfortunately, Louise and I have great experience, not great, I don't want to use that word. We have a lot of experience of clients passing away, a lot recently as well. And unfortunately, it's left their remaining spouse, partners, children in a very dark place, not just because the loved one has passed away. Of course, that is what I'm talking about. But some of them haven't a clue what's been going on. And it really can provide you with issues. So succession planning is really, really important. And here's a QR code just to discuss our services in general. So if you're not a client, if you are a client, then you don't need to use that QR code. If you are not a client, then feel free to use that QR code, book some time in with us to talk about our services in general. So here's something for you. 5 million limited company owners in the UK. I thought it would be more than that, but this might be a sample data, I think. But 5 million people are limited company owners. 3.45 have no succession plan. I mean, that's worse than the will. 69%, many of these, perhaps over 3 million, also lack an up-to-date will. So let's think about this just for a second. And I want you, when you're listening to me, don't just listen and then go, oh yeah, okay. I want you to really internalize what I'm saying and reflect upon you, your loved one, your children. If you have a limited company, then, and you're the only director, only shareholder, that's a disaster right there. If you don't have a will, even bigger, because the remaining people would then have to go to court to get any type of hold over that company. It could take months, 6 to 9 months. What happens in that time? Well, the banks will freeze the assets. That's it. So you are screwing over your loved ones if you pass away without a will, without a succession plan. Simple as that. And equally, we always talk about, and this is very philosophical, and I'm probably getting old, but I've really become this pragmatic person asking the questions of, so what? I'm building all these assets. How do I pass them on to my children so that they can continue it? Bigger question is, do they actually even want it? So part of the succession planning that I've done with a couple of clients is to have sessions with the parents and the children and say, right, they've got this property. Do you want it when they pass away? A lot of the times, the answer is no. And then that just dumbfounds the parents because they are sitting there thinking, well, I've built these assets up. Now who do I give it to? Well, you give it to them, but they're going to just probably bin it and then get rid of it. So you're stressing yourself out, building wealth to someone who doesn't want it.
Not only that, are they aware you're planning this whole wonderful process to hand on to them? It may be obvious to you you're doing that. It's not obvious to them. It really isn't. And we've now sat in a number of client meetings with multiple generations of family discussing these really important points. So we are so pleased that those people have taken the time to do that. And we are delighted it happened with us because there have been some shocks, both at the parental end, doing all this hard work for the children, but more importantly, at the children end, going, what on earth were you thinking? Why, at what point did you think I was ever going to want to take this on? I have no idea about this. My calling is to be a YouTube influencer. I do not want to be doing property. I do not want to be doing investments.
Yeah.
Big shocks. Big shocks.
Very, very, very true. I mean, just look at that pie chart straight away. You know, the fact that most people don't have a succession plan. You know, not if you're stressed with your property portfolio, if you're stressed with your business, do you really want to give that to your children? And do you want to give it to your children who are A, grieving, and B, are now lumbered with the very stress that you've got, and they've already quite successful, thank you very much, in their full-time job? Do you really want that? Have you got an agreement in the family to say who is going to take this responsibility on? Probably not. And it would to tell you by the statistics that we've got going on. Problems to face: business failure, loss of control. If you pass away, almost pretty much guarantee this. The property business, the business that you give over to your children, will no doubt fail because they're not sure what they're taking on. You've never involved them in the process. They're, you know, you're going from a 0% landlord to 100% landlord in day one in a time of grief. Not going to happen. So it's going to fail. A business, you know, business is difficult to run. There's lots of complexities. There's lots of little components. Your children are a business owner from 0% to 100% in day one at the point of grief when they may already have a successful job. Do you think they're going to care? They're going to let it burn. After all these years of building it up, Was it worth it? Good question. Financial ruin, liquidity issues. You know, if you have got bank accounts that are frozen back to that point, you passed away, your children now don't know where the bank accounts are. The banks are refusing to talk to them because they've not been nominated in any way. Then it could be a financial ruin. They may need to put their hands in their own pocket, which is crazy. Family disputes. If you've got children and they start falling out, what kind of thing breaks up a family? Money and the pursuit of it, or the I'm entitled to this amount of money more than you because I did this, this, and this. Family disputes are horrible and they will destroy your family. Or because you didn't have a succession plan, or because you didn't have a will, or because you didn't involve them in the process of your business, your property portfolio. I'm hoping that this is landing very firmly with you because I want it to. For no other reason. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm not Robbie Williams. I'm not standing on stage. There's no glow sticks. This is just hard pounding stuff for you to seriously think about and take action. Please, please, please do it for you. Do it for your loved ones. Some of the things you need to think about. Identify the people to take over during your lifetime. Don't think about just death. Think about your lifetime. And even now, we're having discussions with our son, who is 11, and it's clear that, you know, he's very young. Obviously, 11 years of age. I was an idiot till 28. So he's got a long way to go. But if something happens to me, something happens to Louise, someone's got to take over. So we're already identifying people in the business to take over because we know that Hugo won't be able to do so. Identify people with contingency shocks. If something should happen, you're gone. What happens? So this is not, the first point is about you have plans, you have time, you've got this to do. But actually, if you go tomorrow, which is a shock, you need a contingency, right? If I die, do this. Okay. And just to give you an example of this is if I go, Louise and I go at the same time picking up Hugo, we know that we've got one person that will pick Hugo up from school, take him back to their house. We then have nominated guardians of Hugo that will fly from the UK to Spain, pick him up and take him back to Spain. And then the house is sold, the business continues. It sounds simple, but trust me, there's been a lot of thought and a lot of discussions and a lot of pain going through this process. And it's something that I urge you to do as well. Update your will, your letter of wishes, your LPA. A letter of wishes, by the way, is just a detailed, more detail of a will. So who I want involved in my business, who do I want to give specific asset, who do I want to give this clock to, who do I want to give this painting to. Stupid stuff like this, but you know what, it isn't done. Not enough, in my opinion. Update shareholder agreements and involve your children now. If they are of age, pay them some money. Give them incentive, get them involved in your business. Let them be curious about what you're doing in your business. They may actually run it better than you anyway. I'm hoping that Hugo does the same to me, but it's not happened just yet. Get key person insurance paid into a trust. So if you should die, you want some money paid into a trust so that the business can continue and maybe the bit of surplus as well to look after loved ones. Okay. Have you done a succession plan for your business or property portfolio? Yes or no, please, in the chat box below. If you haven't done so, please hit that subscribe. Only 25 people have hit that like button. Please, if this content's rubbish, then why are you still here? Right? Hit that like button. Come on. That's some action you can take. Unless you're on the toilet, then please, make sure you wash your hands first. So let's go to the question. So again, have you done a succession plan for your business or property portfolio? Put yes or no in.
And we're not going to shout at you whether if it's a no. We're just going to wag our finger at you.
I think it's curious. I think the more you see people say no, by the way, it helps you understand that you're not the only one. You don't need to feel bad about it because there's going to be lots of people out there. Look at the no's. Look at the chat box. No's. It's fine. But that's why you're here tonight. So you can understand we need to do this. We need to work on this. We need to get our family involved. A family business is just that. Get everyone bloody involved. You don't want them working for Tesco, Sainsbury's, or Virgin Media, whatever, do you? Let's be honest about it. So,
and at some level, something in your psyche has been niggling you. That's why you're here tonight listening to this.
Yeah, very valid point, right? Who does this affect? It affects you. Of course, it's your business. If you pass away or you're retiring, you might be getting old like me. You need someone to take over. Who does it affect? Your children. If you pass away, your children are going to have stress, right? So get to speaking to them about money. Education about money is not in the schools. You need to give your children the education, which, by the way, I'll talk about that a little later on. And your parents, what business activities do they have? What buy-to-let property portfolios do they have? What bank accounts, investments do they have? That's going to be coming your way. Do you know anything about them? Should you not be having a conversation with them about that? I think so. So let's have a look at the questions we got. I'm just conscious of time. Got 10 minutes. I should be able to zip through. Okay, so Dilip, how can we gift shares? Oh, we've seen that. Dave Driver, most people choose their children as attorneys. If you have no children, then who? A trusted friend, a sibling, most likely similar age. Yeah, maybe that's it. Or you could ask, by the way, your solicitor. If you've got a friend that's in law, that's a very good choice, by the way. So do that.
But I would always recommend you're looking for someone younger than yourself, because we hope you have a very, very long life and you're here until you're at least 120. But yeah, if your executor is the same age or older than you, there's a potential they might not be. And then sadly, you're in a very difficult place.
Okay, so is succession plan a legal document? Not really. Succession planning is not something that people talk about that much. I'm going to talk about it quite regularly on YouTube, and I will talk about it. That's what legacy is all about. It's about making sure that you've got years of succession in your family. So no, it's not a legal document, but it could form part of your will.
And it could also lead to legal activities you choose to do. If you've not looked at it and you've not seen it for a while, I'd highly recommend researching what the owners of the toy shop, The Entertainer, did last month. Really interesting with their succession plan. Very well thought through.
Worth a perplexity.
Got to be worth a Google.
No, not Google. We don't do Google anymore, right? So that's sorry, Google, if you're listening. Probably not. Emily said, how to pass over property investments to a child? Is cashing out, selling, gifting the property or shares? Great question, Emily. I'm going to talk about inheritance tax planning in a little second, in fact. Is an initial consultation with your company free? The initial consultation, 10-15 minutes, talk about what we do and what your problems are. Yeah, that's free. And then if you want a more direct conversation about how to get solutions in place, then obviously that's going to be a fee. No succession plan. No. Galaxy Kids. Great. YouTube name, Galaxy Kids. Choosing the person to look after the business. I've got an advert coming up. What's looking after the business is the hardest part. Yeah, absolutely right. It is the hardest part, but it's also the most important part. So the good things aren't always the easiest thing to do, is it? What's the youngest age you can appoint a trustee? 18. Because it's a legal responsibility. So they have to be 18. And you wouldn't want someone being too much young. I know Louis said get someone younger, but not too young. They're not responsible. And that's the key thing. How do you protect a business when you pass? Do you nominate a person to take over control? Succession planning. Okay, so if you, by the way, if you feel that I haven't done succession planning in great detail, but if you think succession planning is going to be useful, maybe as a separate webinar, just type in yes for me, because I want to know if that is something, you know, I hadn't thought about this, if I'm totally honest with you. I just wanted to pose it as a question. But if you think that succession planning could be useful, type that into the chat box after you've pressed the like button and subscribed.
Because there are strategies to succession planning that are very, very effective. So yeah, if you're interested, we can do a webinar on that. And
Raj saying, do you have guidance for succession planning? Tons. And the reason being is because I've done it. myself. So there is definitely a blueprint to use on that. And lots of people are saying yes. Succession
Awesome.
plan. So,
okay.
Yeah, so maybe we'll do
That's
that.
definitely going to be one of the next ones we do.
Inheritance tax. Remember these guys? No will. Inheritance tax nightmare. There's thousands of others, but it's worth remembering. So IHT lifetime bans. £325,000 is for one individual. If you're a couple married, it's double to 650,000. There is a residential nil rate ban, which could be 175,000 in addition to the 325, depending on your home value. I'm not going to go through tireless numbers of examples because it's just so much content we need to get through. But what it does suggest is that you could get £500,000 worth of IHT free as a single person and $1 million maybe as a couple. Tax after that, 40%. It's a huge amount. So there's my first plug for the evening. This is my upshot. This is book a 90-minute call, IHT call with me. So this is a call with me. It's not, my team don't know anything about inheritance tax. So I know as clients, you might be saying, but don't the guys know about inheritance tax? The answer is no, because I always use this analogy. You wouldn't see a chiropodist if you want your eyes tested. Why? Because they're in the medical industry. Surely they know the same. No, they don't. It's a very different skill set. So our team don't know about inheritance tax. They know about income tax. They know about limited company accounts, but not IHT. So this is, I'm going to have to, Lou, there's someone else trying to come in, by the way.
Yes.
So book an IHT call. It's user code webinar, QR code, link in the description box, get 25% off. If you book it by Friday, you can have the meeting in 2, 3, 4 weeks time, but book it by Friday because that's when it expires and it goes back to £699. So it's about £500 with the discount. So £700 versus £500. I'm doing this because I want to promote what we're doing, but I also want only action takers to take this forward. What kind of things can you face with inheritance tax? Inflation is outpacing the IHT threshold of £325,000. That means that there's going to be more people that have an IHT problem coming up. Property prices going up, shares going up, all increasing. Not just inflation, but assets are also going up. Government changes, putting your pension back into your estate, removing business property relief over time, all is going to be increasing your inheritance tax. Now is the time to plan. Use the QR code, get that meeting booked in with me personally. I'm the one who's doing these calls. Use that code webinar to get 25% off. That offer expires at 12th. And that's why when people are saying, oh, but I can't be, I'm walking the dog tonight, they will miss out on that code, okay? Hey, you should be there for the live session. You are. Now you can take that final step of making good use of that coupon code.
Just to be clear, what Simon means is you need to have booked your session by no later than the 12th. The session could be after that date. So just to be really clear.
And also, the IHT fee will probably be a business expense. Probably not. The IHT is a personal tax as opposed to a business one. It's a good challenge, I have to say, but it's probably not going to be there for that. All the links will be in the bottom of the video description, by the way. The reason why I put this chart on there, see that orange line? That orange line, let's see if I can get a highlighter. Can I do that? Is that going to be too much of a, I'm going to do a highlighter. Right, there it is. Look at this, right? This line, oops, sorry, got on the wrong one now. This is the IHT threshold. Look how it's stayed all the way across. What's happened to all the other assets? They're going up. Is that going to change? No, they're going to continue going up, which just shows you, exacerbates the issue that inheritance tax is going to get worse. And then you throw on pensions as well. That's going to be a huge problem for everyone. Right, let me just see if I can get rid of that. Okay, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. You know the QR code. The link will also be in the description box below, by the way. IHT examples. Valuation, single person, one person's got 500,000, one person's got 1.5 million. And by the way, when I talk about these numbers, they all think, well, I don't have an IHT problem right now. But if you have parents and they've got assets and they've got money, property, businesses, that's all going to be cascading down to you. So you've got to think about their assets coming to you, causing you the inheritance tax problem. IHT exemptions, you can see they're chargeable to IHT. Just a quick example more than anything else. IHT, £400,000, huge amount. And I always say that inheritance tax is optional. I never mess about with this word. The inheritance tax in the UK is optional. You don't have to pay. It doesn't have to pay. If you have the liability, I really suggest you pay it. But what I'm saying is you don't need to have that liability to begin with. You can plan way ahead of anything that's going on in your life. Get that plan in place, and there's no inheritance tax that you're seeing on the screen. There you go, guys. I'm just going to keep echoing this point. You can book it with me. I can help you get this all done. Inheritance tax and pensions under the Labour Party. Don't we just love the Labour Party? Here's the thing. Do you love the Labour Party? Type in the word yes or type in the word no in the chat box. Do you love the Labour Party? Because I'm the quickest one to say, is there a way for me to do this? No. There you go. Straight away. Yeah, there you are. I've typed in no. What do you think? Do you love the Labour Party, what they're doing? Do you think the economy's safe, or do you think no way? No way. So they've added the pensions into the estate from April 2027. Millions are going to be paying inheritance tax. Millions. And it's something that you need to plan around now. Some of the things you can do to avoid inheritance tax. Make gifts. And if you survive for 7 years, then those gifts may not be subject to inheritance tax. It's called a potential exempt transfer. So start to look at your properties now. Start to look at some of your cash ISAs, some of your shares, whatever you don't need. And I know that's really a tough one. But you might say, well, actually, I want to gift these assets away. I don't need it. My children really would benefit from it. Maybe buying a starter home. Maybe I've got a buy-to-let property. I've had enough of tenants. Give it to your child to live in. Not a bad way to do it. You do need to think about capital gains tax, and I'll talk about that later on. Create family investment companies. I mean, we don't do family investment companies, and we just had a team meeting about that recently. We have teamed up with a barrister to help us set up family investment companies for you. The reason why is because they're quite complex in nature. Or you can use trusts if you want to. But again, helps you control the asset whilst passing it on to loved ones. Control means from creditors. Control means from them as individuals. Control means their partners, their married partners. All those things needs to be controlled if you don't want those assets squandered. Get some life insurance to pay IHT. Maybe you say, well, actually, I need all the assets. I love my lifestyle and I'm going to live my life the way I want it. And good for you. Why not? You've worked for it. Your assets, enjoy it. But you might want to get some life insurance paid into a trust to pay that liability. Move overseas. Louisa and I did. You know, inheritance tax for you lot, 40%. I'm not acting glum here. I'm not kind of showing off. But one of the things you can do, all of you, you can move countries. You can go overseas, take your assets with you. Andalusia, Spain, where we are, 1% inheritance tax over 1 million euros. 1 million compared to 375,000. 1% compared to 40%. Which one do you prefer? Sunny Spain, rainy UK. Really up to you. I don't mind.
Oh, the way you put it like that, it sounds equal, 50-50.
Yeah, right. Raise debt and spend. I mean, for every debt that you have, so if you raise debt and you spend the money to enjoy your life, let's say you have a home. No mortgage. Why not get a mortgage? Why not raise some money against your home? Interest rates are pretty low. use that money, spend it. Because for every £10,000 that you raise in debt, £4,000 is saved in inheritance tax. It sounds like the best investment you can ever make, right? So it is worth thinking about that. That can apply to your home. It can also apply to buy-to-let properties in your own name or buy-to-let properties in a limited company as well. Some of the things you need to think about when making gifts, you have to be careful. Capital gains tax. If you're selling shares or property, there may be a capital gains tax. You're trying to save inheritance tax and then you get hit with capital gains tax. And you think, oh, what have I done that for? And the biggest thing here is capital gains tax is less money, of course, than inheritance tax, but it could still be pulled into your estate if you die with that 7 years. Also, paying capital gains tax is one of those taxes that has to be paid now, not like inheritance tax, which is done in the future. So you may not like that idea. So again, be careful. Gifts with reservation issues. You might gift your house, and this is if you Google gift with reservation house, you'll see lots of stories here. Stories whereby people have said, I've given my home to my children. And then HMRC, after they've passed away, said, well, that home you supposedly given to your children, 1, you still lived in the property. 2, you paid no rent. 3, your children didn't live with you. So that wasn't a gift, was it really? You benefited from that asset just because you've written it in some sort of paper to say the asset is now with you, my lovely children. May not be lovely, but I'll leave that with you. But you're giving it to your children just because you've done it in paper, but you've not executed it, could be a gift with reservation. So get some tax planning around that. Only 0% if you live for 7 years. So if you pass away and it's within 2 years, 3 years, then inheritance tax is still 40%. It is tapered all the way down to 7 years. So you don't pay all of the inheritance tax if you died within 5, 6 years of that gift. But you do need to think about what's going on. Is this simple? Is this complex? Can you do this all on your own? Great, do it. Please do it. If you're not sure about this and you don't want to screw up, mess it up, then book some time in with me, Simon Misiewicz, your estate tax plan agent. That's what I am right now. I'm your agent. I'm going to help you and your family build wealth, reduce tax. There's the QR code, 90-minute call with me. Webinar is a code to get it done cheap, 25% discount, expires on Friday. You can have the call with me booked whenever you want to. Next week, the following week after that, fine. But get the call booked in by Friday or that discount goes away. So let's just go through. Upload your questions. If you are going to book that call with me, upload your questions and give me your asset listing. I want to know everything about you. I will write you a bespoke tax report before the meeting's even taking place. We will then talk for 90 minutes going through all the solutions. Every client I've done this with always leaves with about 12 actions. Out of that, we prioritize 3 or 4. So not to get overwhelmed, but we do come up with some great ideas. The meeting is obviously on Zoom, so I will send you the meeting link so you can watch the recording and I'll send the report. And of course, there are time for clarification questions, which I'll always answer. Get that meeting in. I'll save you lots of money. Trust me, I've done it always with everyone I've spoke with, so I can do the same for you. Now, if you really want to supercharge your legacy, and I'm talking about all the things we've spoken about today, whether you want to grow your investments, we're now going to start something called the Growth Investment Club. Louise doesn't know anything about it. She's going to shoot me after this meeting. But I'm going to start a monthly session called the Growth Investment Club, which helps you to look at your portfolios, look at all your assets, choose the right types of assets, have discussions about the types of investments other people are making so that you can make better investment decisions. We are not IFAs. We're not here to choose the product for you. We're going to educate you of how to choose the best investment for you and your family. That's part of the investment club. You can see all the prices depending on what services you want. I'll send you an email with all this information on, don't worry. Will writing software, which I've talked to you about already, £100 odd each go. Executive identification, guidance and training. If you know that you've got an executor who is responsible for paying the IHT, paying any debts, passing assets onto loved ones in accordance to your will, you need to choose the right person, not just any person, the right person. And we can give them guidance and training of what a good executor is so that they carry out their duties in the right way. If they screw it up, they are legally responsible and can pick up loads of fines and tax liabilities as well. GDPR Vault, we can upload all of your information about your, not, by the way, we're not going to ask you for sort code bank accounts, but what it does allow you to do is upload your will, upload your LPA, upload important documents, list the savings accounts, bank accounts that you may have. We won't ask for all the information because that would be just a bit not safe for you, but it will ask for, right, I've got a NatWest bank account, it's this account number, that's it. Because it helps us to pass that information on to your loved ones when you go away. IHT review, we could do one every year, or as that personal office would say, every 6 months. We could do an IHT review meeting. Instead of just doing an IHT meeting and then that's it, we could do it annually or every 6 months. We could do pet tracking. So any gifts you make, we can make sure that you're not going to fall foul of any legislation changes. Investment performance and tax reviews. How many times have you done an ISA review of your investments? What about your pension statements? Even our staff members haven't done that, so I bet you haven't too. We can help you to identify your investments and make it grow harder and faster than ever before. We can supercharge it, and all for the price that we've shown below. You might say this is expensive, but I probably put an extra zero onto your investments by looking at what you do. Business, property, succession planning. We can do all that with you as well. So look at those. We're going to send you an email with all this later on. But hopefully legacy will last for a long time because I think it's so important. It's something that's not talked about in schools. It's something that's not talked with employers. It's something not talked as a business owner. I'm teaching you this now because it's long overdue. Okay, so here's a question, yes or no time for you people listening in. Will you, by 2030, once pensions are added to your estate, will you have an IHT liability? Yes or no? That's all I want you to do on that. By the way, I still need some more likes, please, folks. So many of you are watching for free, by the way. Doesn't cost you much to press that like button, does it? So please do that. And also subscribe. If you're not subscribed to our channel, look, I do 2 videos per week. So really important for you to do that. If you're a client of ours, you should not inheritance tax, but maybe some tax things, other tax matters, you should be booking more time with your account managers than you probably do. And I will also talk to our clients about the growth model, and that is going to be launched in October. So stay tuned, clients, because we're going to have Optimise 2.0 coming right at you. So really excited about that. So who does this affect? You? Yeah, of course it does. It affects your children. Are you going to leave them a complete mess? Or are you going to give them something that's orderly, that is going to make their lives better for the future? Or just a bag of nails? Really, it's up to you. And what's your parents leaving you? Big question. You might be thinking, I don't care about my children. Oh, well, my parents are leaving me a bag of nails. Whoa, what's going on here? Let's get them on this webinar, right? Really important to think about this stuff because it's not something that you can just hope goes away. It doesn't. We're all going to die. That sounds quite depressing. Bottoms up. So yeah, so book the calls, but let's type in your questions. And there's that webinar, there's that QR code. Let's take your questions. Let's have a look. Any thoughts or views from you, Louise, while I'll read out the questions?
Sure. So I'm just going to say one very simple piece, which is all of this is eatable in chunks. You don't have to try and tackle everything at once. And we can help you work out how to navigate which ones are the most important to you and your family and your business and get those things done. And slowly and together, we'll help you eat through those chunks. And it actually won't feel painful. The reason you've not done it so far is because it's not something you necessarily want to think about, or it's painful, or you know it's a massive job. It doesn't have to be, and we can help you with that. What I will say to you as well is don't do this and expect your family to spend years and years sorting this out and being damaged by the work they have to do. And I say this from personal experience. I think, Simon, you maybe can correct me. I think it took me 19 months after my mother passed to resolve much of the issues. And she had a very simple set of affairs compared to perhaps some of you and perhaps some of the business activities that we see our clients perform. She had very simple activities underway, but it took me 19 months of pain. And I was her power of attorney and I was her executor. Yeah. Imagine if someone is neither of those things for you, but is expected to resolve this. Back to Simon's point, the emotional toll alone is going to render that individual or group of individuals into emotional places they're perhaps not ready to deal with some of these things. 19 months to get through the basics. I'm just wary of time,
Lou, but people take this on board, right? A couple of questions before we wrap up. Jay Russell said, I thought IHT had to be paid within 2 months. No, but typically it's 6 months, and some assets can be paid over a duration of 10 years, but you will pay interest, and the interest charge right now is so high. So you may as well be in a better place to pay all in one go. By the way, if you don't pay the inheritance tax bill, even at an installment, you won't get the assets. HMRC will lock those assets away from you. So probate will be locked up. So you have to think about that as well, which again, I will talk about in my sessions. Galaxy Kids, have you got any thoughts on the upcoming budget? No idea. It's the Labour Party. I have no idea what crap they will bring from Toshians. So last question for you, because I think that's all, folks, will come up in a second. But was this useful? Yes or no? Would you like more? Louise and I toyed with the idea of doing live webinars again. We stopped doing it for a period of time, but would it be useful? We're thinking about doing maybe one on succession planning. Maybe we could do one on MTD, making tax digital. Maybe we could do one on growth, growth, which is going to be huge. A growth investment club. Do you want to know about?
No pun there. No pun there.
No, none at all. But if that would be useful, that'd be fantastic. But that is all, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm so sorry we've run out of time. I thought I was doing so well. But clearly not. So let's just take up questions. If you want to go while I'm reading these questions out and answering them, hey, this is it, folks, as it says there. Feel free to do more important things like the washing, the linen, the ironing, watching Bergerac. Is that a thing? People do that. Watch YouTube, something like that. Right, so questions. Galaxy Kids, can IHT be deferred until the property is eventually sold? IHT can be deferred, but your executor would have to sell that property and then they would have to pay the IHT bill. So yes and no, not so easy. And depends on how good your executor is. Really important, right, that you identify, interview the people you want to be your executors. And if someone says to you, can you be my executor? Make sure you leave a hole of your shadow as you run through that wall, because it's not a job you want, trust me. So what else have we got? Yes, more, yes, more. Yeah, okay, we can do more. Very grateful. You're very welcome. Did you move to Spain to reduce your IHT bill, Victoria said? No, the sun. That's the only truth. But yeah, the IHT was a massive bonus, I have to say. Amazing, thanks. Great info, really helpful. So if the budget changes the rules around IHT, is it better to wait? Right? Crystal ball time. You wait and it gets worse, and you're in a worse position, is my argument. Should it change you with your succession planning? No. Should it change you if you want to give some assets now to your children to give them a better start? No. So all those things, don't let their tax tail wipe the dog, but equally, I've talked more about your business, passing on legacy, making sure you have a will, make sure you've got power of attorney. Inheritance tax is the big thing, but actually the most important element I talked about today is wills, passing assets on to your loved ones. Make sure you have a structure in place, and we can do that for you. Okay.
Don't drag your feet, and don't go into it without understanding the tax implications if you now want to go off and do something before the budget, though.
Yeah.
Get the advice.
Last question I will take on board. How can you move your estate to Spain? Sell the assets in the UK, take your money out and buy in Spain. That easy. Really is that easy. So that's it. Thank you ever so much, people. I thoroughly enjoyed tonight. There's been a lot to talk about, but next month, though, in October, we will be doing Growth Investment Club webinar. That'll be quite a good one. And then we're doing MTD, and then let me take some time to properly plan succession planning, and I'll get that in for maybe November. So stay tuned. There'll be more to come, I promise you. But until then, thank you all and have a great evening.